Welcome to Hustleburg. This podcast is all about the small business people of Saint Petersburg, Florida, how they got to where they are, how they built their business, and how they're serving our community. I'm Brett Bittner, and I'm the host of Hustleburg, and I started Beyond Your Side Hustle, where we help budding entrepreneurs go beyond their side hustles and ditch their 9-to-5s. As the founder of a small business here in St. Pete myself, I'm talking to fellow small business owners and answering marketing questions from them and from you as well. Each week we'll release an episode, alternating between an interview with a small business person here in St. Pete and an episode strictly answering your questions about marketing, building a brand, or operating a small business. There are also a few bonus mini episodes on the horizon, so keep an eye out for those. In this episode, I'm talking with Sheila Lake of Lake Law Firm, PA. Enjoy! So, the first question that I ask everybody is why it is what you do. So tell me why you are involved in law.
Well, I've always had a passion for the underdog. I've always been a defender of the underdog. I can remember the first time I was in like second or third grade, and there was this teacher, and she was always mean to this one student. And one day I just had enough, and I stood up and was like, you cannot talk to people like that. You need to stop this. And basically I got kicked out of the class.
Oh, boy.
They changed teachers. They told me that I couldn't just tell people what to do, and I then learned that if I was a lawyer, I could be in a room, everybody had to be quiet and listen to what I had to say, and I could fight for the people that were being treated badly. And so that's always been my passion. It's what drives me. It's why I'm here.
Okay. What's been your favorite win as an attorney?
Oh, my favorite win was my very first client.
Okay.
It was an employment discrimination case. The plaintiff was a woman who actually turned out in the end to be a drug addict who, while she was in prison, learned that if she was Muslim and people didn't hire her, she could sue them.
Ooh, okay.
So I represented the employer, and the opposing counsel was not very nice to me. As a woman in the law, you encounter a lot of men in the law that think they can stomp all over you and disregard what you say. And him and I went at it very well. At our final hearing, when I walked into the room, he announced to everybody that I was a brand new attorney.
Oh, boy.
Yes.
That's a great way to taint the room.
It was beautiful. And then I whooped him.
Okay.
And so my favorite was my very first client, my very first case, my very first trial, and I won.
And I imagine your unique background that we talked about before we got started recording probably has a little something to do with that. Tell us what it is about your background that's unique that they may not find in another attorney.
Well, the biggest thing is that I never went to high school. I dropped out of school in 9th grade, which was long before it was in high school. We were still in junior high school back then. And I went straight to work. I got married very young. I was 16, and I had children right away. I worked at bars for years. And around 30, I could not stay awake to finish my job because it was more important to get up and be a mother in the morning. So I decided to go back to school, and I went back and I got a paralegal degree. And at the time I lived in Washington State. Paralegal degrees are state specific. So when I moved here, which was about a week after I graduated, I decided to go through a temp agency because I knew that my experience was nothing, and my degree was from another state, so I knew it would be hard for me to get in somewhere. But I knew that if I did, they would see my work ethic, they would see my passion, and they would keep me, or at least that's what I thought. And actually, my second temp job, I was the temporary receptionist for a law firm here in St. Pete. And within a year, I was the firm administrator running the entire business side of the law firm.
Okay.
I did that for just about 15 years, and the partners at the law firm told me, look, we're tired of you talking about it. If you're going to do it, go. Go back to law school, or go back to school and go to law school. And so I did. I signed up at Eckerd. I got my undergrad in American Studies from Eckerd. And I graduated in May of 2017 and started law school in September of 2017 while still being a firm administrator. I did the 2-year suicide program.
Whew.
It was suicide. I thought, well, I'm older, I'm experienced, this should be really easy. It was a lot of work, but it was well worth it. So I graduated in August of 2000 and... Oh, I got the years wrong. I started in 2015.
Okay.
I graduated in August 2017. I took the bar in February of 2018 and passed my first time, got sworn in. I worked for a small firm for about a year, and then I went out on my own and started this firm on July 1st of this year.
So that's a lot, and a lot of unique experience that I imagine a lot of attorneys do not have. And you have the experience from the operation side of the business as a firm administrator. What is it that you're doing now that you have your own firm to help you grow the business? Because the bar kind of restricts how you can and can't solicit business, in that you know, in the ways that you can advertise and the way that you can make it make people aware of you. So what are you doing to build your business now that you have your own firm?
Well, I'm very lucky in the fact that while I was a firm administrator, I also helped one of the partners there. I was like her main paralegal, I guess.
Okay.
I wasn't a paralegal, but I did all of the work that was above the level of education or experience that our paralegals had, I did. Like, I have done the paralegal work on a writ of certiorari for the United States Supreme Court. There are a lot of attorneys that haven't done that work.
Okay.
So I had a lot of experience in different areas of the law, you know, the task of drafting motions, drafting discovery, things like that. So I was very lucky to have that experience, but I wanted to work at the other firm for a year so I could put it all together, because I understood the business part from being the firm administrator.
Right.
And I understood the legal part from law school, but I'd not ever put them both together.
Okay.
So after I got out of law school, well, I was very successful in law school, so I met a lot of people. Plus, I was in this industry for 15 years before I went to law school. And being the firm administrator, I was the face of the firm. So I worked with a lot of attorneys. I worked with a lot of judges. I worked with the clerks. A lot of people knew me already. My success in law school caused a lot of students and visiting attorneys to know me as well. So I've been very lucky that my business has a lot of word-of-mouth referrals.
Okay.
A lot. I haven't actually paid for any advertising. I'm also a member of several closed Facebook groups.
Okay.
And the closed Facebook groups are pretty awesome because somebody will pop in there with a question. It may not even be in the area of law that I'm in, but it's something I want to know about.
Right.
So I will read everything so I learn.
So you're adding value to the folks that have a question, even though you may not necessarily represent them and you're not offering legal advice, but you're still adding value to the conversation that's taking place.
Right. Well, they're other attorneys as well. So, you know, they're trying, when they post something about real estate, you know, they don't understand it. They don't know it. I respond to it. So when they get a potential client that has an issue that's more complicated than they can handle, they send them to me.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, yes, I've been very lucky with that. From those groups, I know that there are a lot of attorneys that have been doing this for 10, 15, 20 years that are struggling to find work. And I have a ton of work.
Good.
A ton of work. So I've been very lucky.
It's getting those billable hours, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm also old enough, though, to understand that you can't live your life for those billable hours. Mm-hmm. So I try very hard to maintain work-life balance.
Okay.
And that works out good for me most of the time. Sometimes I'm in here for hours and 7 days a week because I have a trial coming up, or, you know, you can't maintain work-life balance when you have a trial.
Absolutely. So switching gears a little bit, what is it that you're reading or watching or listening to that's helping you run your business better, to grow it, to make it something that you want it to be?
Well, there are several resources. The ABA, American Bar Association, sends out several newsletters and magazines per year, and they're always touching on the newest and greatest.
Of course.
You know, the Florida Bar as well, they do that, and the Florida Bar has a lot of resources on their website. If you don't know something, you're likely to find it there. Some of the closed Facebook groups that I'm a part of are marketing for law firms or financials for law firms. So I'm constantly looking at something, and if it has a value to me or it's something that I'm interested in, I'll read it. If it's something that I think I need to do, then I'll reach out to somebody to come and educate me on it, because I don't really have the time to do the research for it. So, but if you work with good vendors that understand your business and understand what you need and are willing to educate you.
Awesome. So when you're not working on a case, when you're not working with clients, and you're not being a mom and a grandma, what are your favorite things to do in St. Pete?
Oh, well, we do this thing, we call it our walkabout, where we go to downtown St. Pete and we drink all day.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier that you're not a St. Pete native. Are you originally from Washington State?
Well, another uniqueness about me is my family is from St. Pete.
Okay.
My grandmother and my mother and her siblings used to do a variety show down on the pier in the 60s. And yes, they would sing and dance. And so everybody in this town knows my family.
Okay.
They don't necessarily know me, but my father was in the military. So I grew up in Virginia. We lived in Chicago for a few minutes, but mostly he spent his time in Virginia. And so when I moved back here, I guess I never lived here, but it felt like I moved back here because I came back to my family. So St. Pete is home, has always been home, like home base, I guess you would say, but I grew up in Virginia.
So looking at 2020, what are some of the events that listeners should put on their calendars if they want to find out more about you, if they want to meet you somewhere, or if there's just a legal association meeting? What's something that where you're looking forward to that event in 2020?
Right.
Or even a town or just kind of local
get together.
Yeah.
I do attend many events. I mentor a lot.
Okay.
I mentor bar takers, and I mentor youth in our community. I am on the board and one of the mentors for I Support Youth. It's a grassroots group that was started by a gentleman here locally. His name is Lewis, and for the life of me, I can't think of his last name right now, but most people know him. We have a boys' side and a girls' side, and we have many events for the youth there. We are, I believe, sometime in the summertime, we are going to be doing our annual get-together. It's more like a ball. We do up the dinner, we find somebody to celebrate and honor, and then it's also a fundraiser. So, but I'm there the whole time, and if you watch out for my website, I will put it up there because I'm trying to get as many people involved as possible. We don't get any funding. Everything that we have is from donations. Okay. So the mentors donate. The mentors, we actually pay a fee to be a mentor. Okay. And we get donations from the community, from small businesses, from small solo practice attorneys. And so, those events are important to me. And so anybody who wants to show up, to support, to donate, awesome. Money, in kind, whatever.
and I'll make sure that we link to the I Support Youth group, mentoring group that you talked about in the show notes. For those of you listening, we'll have a link to them there. Well, that's pretty much all the questions that I have, except for the final one. If people are wanting to find out more about Lake Law Firm, how can they do so? Where can they find you online? Website, social media handles, that kind of thing.
We have a Facebook page. That's Lake Law Firm PA. The PA is important because apparently sometime in the past there was a Lake Law Firm. So lakelawfirm.com doesn't work, but Lake Law Firm PA does. Okay. So our Facebook page is Lake Law Firm PA. Our LinkedIn page is Lake Law Firm PA. And we have a website, which is lakelawfirmpa.com. You also are more than welcome to call me at any time. That number is 727-592-1812.
And one of the things that I forgot to ask, what type of law do you practice? We talked a little bit about real estate, but that was about it. And I know that that's not all that you do.
Right. Well, I primarily practice in real estate. I represent homeowners associations. I represent developers. I do everything from the transaction work to the litigation. I draft mortgages and notes. I represent borrowers in mortgage foreclosures. I do property disputes. Somebody's fence is encroaching on another person's fence. Okay. I have a case right now where half a house is on somebody's property.
Oh boy, so how does that happen?
That's going to be pretty interesting. I do quiet title actions, so just about everything you can think of in the real estate arena, I handle.
Okay.
I also do things like contract reviews and estate planning, wills and trusts. Those are very important to me. My father passed away, and he had nothing. He had no will, he had no plan, and people don't think of those things. My father was only 57.
Okay.
And people don't think of those things, but without your family knowing what you want, they're just taking a guess. And sometimes that causes them to panic and stall because they don't want to guess what you want. They want to know what you want. So that's very important to me. I currently do not do civil rights, but that is where my passion is. And real estate is a good money maker. It keeps the lights on. And so I'm hoping to build that side of my practice so that in a couple of years it will support civil rights. I really want to do civil rights. That's where my passion is, but that is mostly pro bono and low bono work, and that doesn't keep the lights on. So I'm hoping to be able to get into that in a couple of years.
Awesome. Sheila, thank you so much for spending time talking to Hustleburg today.
Yes, thank you.
You did it. You've just listened to Hustleburg. To thank you for listening, we have a free guide to help you get started marketing your business online, aptly named our Getting Started Guide, available at beyondyoursidehustle.com/gettheguide. See how to begin with the first 3 things you should be doing for your business online. Speaking of businesses, if you're a small business owner and you have a question about marketing, building your brand, or operating your small business that you'd like to have answered on an episode, just go to beyondyoursidehustle.com/podcast question and keep listening to hear it answered during one of our Q&A episodes. If you're local to St. Pete and you'd like to be a guest on an episode of Hustleburg, just let us know. Go to beyondyoursidehustle.com/podcast guest. If you found something of value in this podcast, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcast app. This is something small that you can do to help us shine the spotlight on the great businesses St. Pete has to offer. Music in this episode by my friend Rhymer Educator. You can listen to his latest album as well as his most recent single, No Fear, on Spotify, Tidal, iTunes, or wherever you listen to great music. Thanks so much for listening, and we look forward to telling you how we do business in the Burg.